Hey everyone, I'm Mark from Dungeon Class, and today I have with us with some special guests. We got WallyDM from WallyDM channel, and
Mhm.
Fred from How to D&D, and this guy from Josiah from Dungeon Dad. We got some guests here. Yep, that guy over there. And today we're talking about monsters and fun ways to use them. And today we're starting with Bullywug. Bullywug. And so it's a fun ways to use them, how a person might use them in their campaign. And I'll kind of start us off a little bit and talk about one way I think it might be interesting. And that is, typically we might see them in swampy areas and that kind of thing. That's kind of how they're usually used. But one idea that I had that I think would be interesting would be like, what if you found them? You said a party is they're venturing through the desert and they lo and behold they come across a watering hole, an oasis, and they're like, "Hey, look at that! An oasis!" As they move in, they find it's being defended by bullywugs who are willing to fight tooth and nail to the death because that's the only water source for miles and miles and miles. So I think it'd be an interesting way to use bullywugs because you're not expecting to see them in a desert. You usually have certain desert things you're used to seeing. So
Totally.
that's one way I thought, anyway, of using bullywugs. It really isn't the garden variety way you might see them in the monster manual. Let's start with Wally DM. So, Wally, what do you think is a way to use bullywugs?
First, I gotta say that those bullywugs in the desert are going to be sunburned. I mean, they're used to no sun in that swamp. I mean, that's being out
Like
there,
me,
even in
like me.
Oasis.
Yeah.
Yes, your face gave it away. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, those palm trees are just not going to be enough cover like you would get in swamp. But yeah, so bullywugs immediately what came to mind is as a kid we used to have like toad or frog races. So we would go, we would find a toad and we would mark off on the sidewalk with a piece of chalk a starting line and a finish line, and we would get our little toads and we would push them across the sidewalk to try to get them across. So
Okay.
as far as bullywugs go, I could see an adventuring party looking for someone that has been taken captive. And then
Okay.
when they find this tribe of bullywugs, they've just arrived at the perfect time because it's the Bullywug Olympics. And the only
Ah.
way that they're going to get this person back is now they have to compete in the Bullywug Olympics, but it's all stuff that they're really good at. So they're going to have spear throwing, they're going to have a triple long jump, they're going to have a
Oh.
swimming, and then they're going to have some type of a joust that's done on the back of giant frogs. And once they talk to the king or queen bullywug, they're like, okay, we'll release them, but you have to play our games and at least get, gold, silver, or bronze. And I just think it'd be a lot of fun, maybe even a little bit Greek themed like the Olympic games. So Olympic game bullywugs. That's what I have for you today.
You had me at jousting on the back of giant frogs. That is
I
excellent,
love
excellent
that.
idea. I love it. I love it. Good stuff.
Put it
All
in
right, Josiah,
barrels.
what do you think would be a good use of bullywugs?
I do have a prepared answer for this, but also I just want to continue Wally's trend of dunking on the thing that you said. In that, I think that that's really interesting. You say like, oh, the frogs would get dried out. Like that's true, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't put them there. Then it's like, well, then what would they be doing to counteract that? So maybe you have bullywugs that are wearing like suits of armor that have like a thin like lining of water in them or something.
Oh, awesome.
And like
Right.
if the players play along, they'll be willing to maybe sell them one that it will kind of like prevent the paladin from getting roasted in the hot sun in their armor. It's like, oh, you get like a kind of skin suit underneath it that keeps you cool.
Oh,
um
love it.
That's amazing.
but my stupid answer was bullywugs are giant frog people, and what if they weren't? Insofar as they weren't giant frog people, they were just regular sized like frog people. So when you came across like a tribe of bullywugs, it was just like hundreds of like small frogs, but that behave the same way as bullywugs did. So they have like society, they have like their Olympics, they have laws and like a king and queen, but like your players are like storm giant sized relative to them. So they
Oh.
show up and they're like, oh man, like there's this other bullywug kingdom on the other side of the pond. Like we need you to contend with them. And then your players have to decide how truly violent they're willing to get with a bunch of creatures that are like this big compared to them. And who knows, maybe they have some type of magic item or something that they'll offer to pay them to do that. And also, just because they're small doesn't mean they're not dangerous. I mean, you could do like swarm rules, right? Like use the stats of a bullywug, but thematically flavor it as a swarm of bullywugs. So it's like one bullywug is actually like 50 small warriors or whatever, and they're like throwing spears at your party and stuff. That's how I would use them anyway.
Very cool. No, I like that. I like that. Yeah, yeah. I it could be part of the plagues. The plagues of bullywugs would be really
a plague of frogs would be so much worse if they were bullywugs.
Wouldn't it?
They
Yeah,
just roll in with like their chariots and stuff, start annexing part of towns. They're like, this is now the domain of Queen Hops or whatever.
Nice. All right, love it. All right, Fred. Good luck following that. Go ahead. What do you got for bullywugs?
Man, I keep trying to get the image out of my head of an oasis where there are bullywugs running a holiday resort right now. And as a result of what Wally and Josiah have said, I'm like, now I can see an astronaut's suit that's transparent with a whole lot of liquid floating around in it, and the bullywugs in it. It's like, those are the images that I've got stuck in my head right now. I came up with 3 ideas, and I couldn't decide on which one I liked the most. But as a result of listening to some of AJ Pickett, that's right, AJ Pickett's videos, I was thinking ninja bullywugs, and I was going to go with the Lubell assassins. So I like that idea. Yes, I know it's kind of like stealing from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The only difference is these are like frog creatures rather than turtles. And absolutely, it's cliche in every way whatsoever. So feel free to ditch it and dump it if you wanted to. The one I like the most is the idea that bullywugs are like petrol heads, and they capture dragonflies, giant dragonflies, and race them around the swamp. That's the one I liked the most. Coming across them, getting run down by a bullywug riding on a dragonfly seems like a lot of fun. That's the one that really sort of hang out for me. I was trying to think how you'd make them into pirates, but do frogs actually pull like those sleds that they use in swamps? And actually, I mean, could they do that, or would the sled they were dragging just wind up crashing all the time as it suddenly launches into the air and comes down again? So I could not make that make sense in my head. So I'm going with the bullywug dragonfly drag racing. That's the one for me.
I like that because I imagine the players seeing like a flyer, like a wanted poster kind of thing, like an adjacent town's tavern for like dragon riders that have been like harassing. They're like, oh man, these guys are riding dragons. Like this is going to be crazy. And they get there and it's like these frog dudes on giant dragonflies.
Right.
I was thinking more like Star Wars pod racing from episode 1.
That's really immediately what I started thinking.
They put their little frog goggles down. They got the scarf that's blowing in the wind.
Now this is dragonfly racing.
And to think that Fred was worried about it making sense in D&D, so that's interesting. He's worried about the finer points there of whether that it really makes sense or not. No, this is good stuff. This is exactly what we like for ideas. Hopefully, down in the comments, you could give some ideas of ways that you would use bullywugs in your campaign. That'd be fun and unusual. I'd like to thank WallyDM here with us today, and Josiah, and Fred. And with that, class dismissed.